So good afternoon. My name is Alistair Hepburn. I'm the Executive Director of ACTRA Toronto. Welcome to your 2025 AGM. I had to check the year there. It's been a bit of a blur. I'm going to introduce the folks on the screen here to you, and then we are going to get this all going. So I'd start with the new president of ACTRA Toronto. I think we can still say new, Kate Ziegler. Welcome, Kate. Then we have Treasurer Paul Constable. And then we have our amazing vice presidents, Mercedes Morris, Amy Maticio, George Alavizos, Alana Dunkelman, and John Cleland. All right, so with no further ado, we should kick things off here. So I'm going to throw to you, Amy, so that we can do the land acknowledgement. And just give me 1 second as I put that on the screen. And here we go.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Toronto is in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and the Haudenosaunee and the land. The treaty was created to share and protect what is still their traditional territory. This area around the Great Lakes represents the dish that we all feed from, and we must share with one spoon. Subsequent Indigenous nations, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect for the land we now share. We are all treaty people who have a responsibility to maintain the spirit of the Dish with One Spoon covenant. Now let us remember that action matters more than words. In that spirit, ACTRA Toronto has begun a new relationship with the community of Grassy Narrows, a nation that has endured decades of environmental injustice and continues to fight for clean water, health equity, and self-determination. We invite our members to consider 2 tangible ways to support. Donate or raise awareness for the Grassy Narrows Youth Organization. This grassroots community-led initiative provides land-based healing and leadership programs for youth directly impacted by mercury poisoning. Consider contributing directly, organizing a fundraiser, or simply sharing their stories and needs with your networks. 2, support Indigenous sovereignty through your work. Whether you're on set, in a writing room, behind the camera, or in front of it, amplify Indigenous voices and stories. Ask who is telling the story and who profits from it. Insist on ethical engagement with Indigenous communities in all screen-based work and support productions that reflect these values.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now we're going to go to George Alavizos and Mercedes Morris for the ACTRA Toronto Equality Statement.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. So I will start off. Union solidarity is based on the principle that all union members are equal. Mutual respect, cooperation, and understanding are our goals. We neither condone nor tolerate behavior that undermines the dignity or self-esteem of any individual or creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive environment. Discrimination speech or conduct based on gender, gender identity, sexual orientation, race, disability, age, class, religion, ethnic origin, membership, or work category, or family status hurts and divides us. Mercedes, do you want to continue?
Discrimination can take the form of harassment, defined as using real or perceived power to abuse, devalue, or humiliate. Discrimination and harassment weaken our solidarity, reducing our capacity to work together on shared concerns, such as decent wages, safe working conditions, and justice for all. ACTRA activities are to be harassment-free zones where our members' dignity and equality are respected. ACTRA's constitution, bylaws, practices, and collective agreements reflect our commitment to equality and respect. Complaints of harassment and discrimination are taken seriously by ACTRA and should be directed to the president or their designate. All will be investigated, and those substantiated will result in action by the union.
Thank you very much. We had a couple of folks wondering how many folks were in the room. Currently, there are 127 members present, just for those who are wondering. I know you can't see it as an attendee. At this point now, it gives me great pleasure to throw to Kate Ziegler, the ACTRA Toronto president, for her president's report.
Thank you, Alistair. And first of all, I just want to thank everyone for being here today. And I want to acknowledge that it is weird to be doing a webinar, and this is not the full-blown vision. I would like to be seeing all of your faces. And the reality was that we felt this was the most fiscally responsible way to bring as many people in as possible. And because this is a largely reporting session, we thought we would try this, but it won't be this way forever. We will meet again in a more open way. Last year when we met, I wasn't president yet, but we explored the operating plan in depth. This year, we're navigating some turbulence, and that means that we're going to try and shift toward a longer-term strategic plan with a bigger vision, stronger framework, and a clearer direction. From there, an operating plan can follow with tangible goals and measurable outcomes. And this is something that this has been a staff-informed shift that we're trying to move toward, and council is still kind of processing how to do that. Let's say that my first 5 months as in the role as president have been packed. So today we're going to focus on finances. We'll get to that with Paul's treasury report. We're going to catch up on activity from the last year, and then also sort of speak to and tackle what's right in front of us. We'll try to move quickly so that we can get to your questions. I'd also really encourage you to put questions in the chat that we can, and then we're going to do our best to answer as many of them as possible when we get to the Q&A. I would just say that I think our biggest achievement last year is ratifying the IPA. It's our largest collective agreement. I would even say that some of our members living in Northern Ontario have already begun to see that increased background count and feel that. So feeling greater work opportunities under the collective agreement, which I thought was great and shows that that's a hard-won victory by the bargaining team. And I just wanted to highlight their presence as members and also that experience they're having. We are still gathering data on the 48-hour audition turnaround clause. So I just wanted to point that out in case you don't know what I'm talking about. You can look to the IPA. Alistair's going to put it in the chat here in a second. So you can see what that clause says, and I'd like to invite you to continue to report things around the 48-hour turnaround, or if you have a question, you think this isn't right, and you know for sure this is a violation of the IPA, please, or the NCA, bring it to the staff so that they can use that information to talk to producers, talk to production, and say, hey, you're not following the IPA we've all agreed to. The other thing is ACTRA Toronto has been pushing for progress on, I'm going to say a bunch of things that you may not have heard of before, but progress on the Appendix 31 Casting Standards Committee. This is a partnership with the AQPM and the CMPA. And again, Alistair's put this in the chat. I would encourage you to have a look at the appendixes in the IPA. You can look at 31 to understand more. If you have questions, please reach out to us. If you go to the ACTRA Toronto webpage and look at the counselors, you can click on our photos and it'll open up an email portal. There's other appendixes too. So, just have a peruse, get educated on the IPA and the different agreements so that when bargaining times come around, you can say, hey, that's not working for me. That's really helpful to us. I think we're all still feeling the industry-wide contraction, which has been compounded by the political antagonism of the Trump administration, unfortunately. And I hope, I hope you've had a chance to see ACTRA Toronto's take. We've been publishing these or sending out these tariff reports. And Alistair also published a report just sort of looking at what is ACTRA Toronto's take on that proposed 100% tariff and the subsequent lobbying efforts that some of our industry partners in the US have taken. And I think the big takeaway is with that swirling instability that people are feeling. I hope I can speak on behalf of the whole of ACTRA Toronto and say how grateful we are to have a signed IPA that was done before these things really started to act up. It firms the ground for production and also provided members with that like immediate wage increase for those of us that have been able to access work opportunities. Look, I'm not going to get too deep into AI right now. There's going to be more on that from John Cleland a little later on. But I know that it's on, well, I think it's on all of our minds. We're constantly being inundated with a next new update. You know, just as we were preparing for the call today, John was asking, like, has everybody seen this video? And it can be really unsettling when you see something and go, oh my gosh, it's getting more intelligent. Just a couple of days ago, I was in a recording session. I was doing a little gig, and I started to think about the consequences of these rapid changes and the sort of like unregulated threat to my livelihood, our livelihood. And I just want to say, like, 10 out of 10, do not recommend thinking about AI mid-session. Don't recommend it. I also want to highlight something, and I just see Gail's name popping up here, that our staff have developed, specifically our Director of Contracts, Gail Hepburn, in collaboration with members. They've created an AI best practices guide, which is available on the website, and maybe we can pop that in the chat as well if you haven't seen it. This isn't going to solve everything. It's a complex equation that's in front of us. But what I like about this is it's a practical tool for us to start to work with our agents, or if you're, if you're unrepresented and you're still trying to figure out how do I apply protective language in the contracts that I have, this guide can help you there. So I just want to encourage people to share it, discuss it with each other. If you're on set, talk to fellow members, talk to your family, talk about why it matters to protect creative jobs. And I guess I say that because whatever the solution is, it's going to require a collective effort. So, let's get prepared and rest up. At the ACTRA Awards, which I really had a wonderful time, is my first time obviously as president at the ACTRA Awards. I joked in my little speech that I chose a banger year to run for president with, the enduring lockout and the 100% tariff threat and yes, a failed national dues referendum. And as I was thinking about that today, I didn't really go into a lot of detail, obviously, at the ACTRA Awards, but I felt like I need to speak directly to this and what we have learned from these last few months. We heard from a lot of people who had never voted on a union referendum before, people who were compelled in both directions, both voting yes and voting no. And I think what the takeaway is there is that the potential of the dues changing, it really called people to engage. They were having conversations that they hadn't maybe had before, asking questions. Some felt super passionate about this change, and others, obviously, we got the outcome that we did, and it's been difficult to navigate from just a staff and sort of a branch perspective. But I just want to assure everyone, like, I didn't sign up for this job because I thought it was going to be easy. I signed up because I want to do the work and take these learnings. So onward. Members want to be involved in the process leading up to big decisions like a dues referendum or a contract ratification vote. Now, this can sound time-consuming, but I think it's reasonable and necessary if we want to see members doing what we saw people do in this referendum vote, coming closer and actually engaging with things. So I think that's a really important point. Members, they wanted more time with the information from ACTRA. And I think that's something that we're all committed to on council. And I will just point out, I had a member email me this morning and say, hey, is there an operating plan kit or is there an AGM kit that I can see that I can review some of the reports ahead of the meeting? And I sent the member the agenda, but the reality is, as I said earlier, we're moving towards a strategic vision that needs to and will include things just like that. That ahead of the AGM, we're going to send out X, Y, and Z items, and those decisions that council's going to have to make need to be informed by members. So I just want to say, a shout out to people who reach out and say, hey, why aren't you doing this? I mean, obviously it's great to get positive things as well, and sometimes there's an easy answer, but I love hearing a piece of constructive feedback that we can then take to council and try to implement. The last thing that I want to say on this piece is that despite the defeat of the referendum, I think the overwhelming feedback that we received was that an increase would be reasonable, and people expect that we might need to revisit this sometime soon, but that the conditions need to change. Members want to metaphorically know the flight path in order to stick the landing, and I do hope that we can revisit and explore a dues conversation for the sake of the stability of ACTRA Toronto and ACTRA National, but only with the lessons we have learned. And I just want to affirm that your ACTRA Toronto Council, your national councillors are prepared to put in that work when the time comes. If you're wondering, okay, well, let's look at the finances, I'm going to have to ask you to wait just a little bit here. I've got a couple more things to report on, and then Paul will deliver his treasurer talk. Okay, just shake it out a little mood change. Okay. I'm sure that many of you are aware that in 2022, Compass Talent Agency owner Danny Friedman was charged with fraud following reports from our members and many non-union performers. This week, Monday, May 26th, Danny Friedman pleaded guilty, with the judge registering at least $820,000 in stolen wages affecting 79 performers. Our estimates are actually higher than that, but that is what the judge could reconcile at this point. The plea offers some closure, I would imagine, for those members impacted, but it does not undo any of the harm that was caused. And so I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge those members who have seen this very long journey through, and those who were victimized. And I extend my and I hope this table's continued support. Before my tenure on council, the previous ACTRA Toronto Council that was in place initiated discussions with the provincial government in response to this exploitation. Yesterday, Alistair and I had the honor of meeting with Minister of Labour, David Piccini, for an announcement that the Working for Workers Act 7, which is a provincial package, will see the government begin a consultation process toward the prevention of future abuses of power against performers. MPP Piccini he's going to personally meet with members who were impacted by the fraud that took place, the stolen wages. He's going to consult with agents. I hope that if you're talking to your agents and they are wondering, well, what will this mean for them, to assure them that TAMAC and MPP Piccini are working together to open up those consultations. And they're going to work toward legislation on this for the 2025 Working for Workers package to ensure actors' wages are protected. You may think, well, what's a consultation? What is a few meetings? Where is the guarantee? It doesn't sound like much, but a group of us stood in front of Minister Piccini yesterday. We actually got to go to the set of Murdoch Mysteries and do a tour and have this conversation. And he initiated assuring us that the inclusion of a consultation is only taken when there is dedication to see the proposal through. So I think I'm just proud that the previous council took this on, and I was proud to pick the file up and keep going on behalf of our membership. I would also like to register some thanks on behalf of those ACTRA Toronto members who sat on the NCA bargaining team and held those seats for nearly 5 years. thank you for your service. I did email them all, but I just want to say it here. It's been a long few years. And over the last 2 months, ACTRA Toronto Council took a step to reconstitute the team. And today we can announce the new members who will pick up the baton for what comes next. This is in alphabetical order. We have Angelica Alejandro, Nika Atto, Andrew Butcher, John Cleland, Amy Maticio, Doug Murray, Sammy Osman, Asante Tracy, David Wallen, Ginny Wong, and yours truly, me, Kate Ziegler. Even take myself out of it, but in general, I do feel pretty hopeful about this team. I think that we've pulled together a really great group of people, but I want to share a quote with you that really informs the vision that many of us share around what is going to be necessary to end the lockout. And some of you may have heard me say this before, but I believe that the bargaining table is not where you fight the battle, it's where you sign the peace treaty. And what that means is that to end the lockout, we're going to need to develop a lot of contract action work and organizing as the bargaining team works in tandem to kind of figure out what steps we can take formally through the national bargaining channel. I'm just about to turn it over to Paul. I want to just take a brief moment to say, last night, ACTRA National emailed the membership about an upcoming referendum vote on a member-led petition, and the branches don't have the authority to speak on this right now, but I don't want to not say it because I'm sure there are people here wondering what they will learn tonight. And I guess my ask is that, yes, if you can attend the webinar tonight, great. And then also ACTRA Toronto will put a town hall together early next week. Everything's happening quite fast so that we can really fulsomely address the questions, the issues raised by the petitioners, and ACTRA National's position on things. There's so much good stuff that I'm done talking now. There's so much good stuff to talk about with ACTRA Toronto, and I really want to create some holistic space for that. But if you have some pointed questions that we can answer at this point, you're welcome to put them in the chat, and we'll try for that during the Q&A. Okay, that's it. Who am I off to? Paul Constable, Treasurer. Thank you so much, friend. Please take it away.
Thank you, Kate. I'm super excited about that national commercial bargaining team. It's like Avengers from the first movie moving into Avengers Age of Ultron, super teams getting together. Kate mentioned we've got questions. Keep them coming in. I'm going to do a financial report. If you have financial questions, we'll try and get to a couple of them after this, but we need to move to our other executive VPs that are on this call. So let's jump right into the treasurer talk. Alistair, if you can throw up that first breakdown on the screen here. I'm going to simplify things here a little bit. I'm going to pretend that we're talking about a lemonade stand. And if that seems a little too Sesame Street or for Canadian content, Fraggle Rock, I apologize. I just want everyone to be on the same page, understanding what it is, what we're looking at, because you look at these words and you're like, what does this mean? For example, let's look at accounts receivable and let's go to our lemonade stand example. Your friends are going to take some lemonade and they're going to like, listen, we're good. We'll pay you later. This is accounts receivable. This is money that you are expecting from your friends. You haven't received it yet. As the money comes in, the accounts receivable line goes down. So if you look, you can see our accounts receivable dropped to 1.1 million, down from 1.59 million the year before. So either fewer people took lemonade on credit or more of them actually paid up. Either way, this is a tighter, more realistic number that we are watching closely. You have to keep track of it so they know what you owe you. And if you know some of my friends, you know why we watch this like a hawk. We did see some dips in this area compared to previous years. However, our bonds and investments grew. So what does this mean? Bonds and investments. Your friend wants to open a lemonade stand. They hire your well-trained cashier, but let's face it, it's well-trained cashier is your cousin, not always reliable. So they want to make sure things go smoothly and your cashier gets paid properly. So your friend's going to give you money. They give me, it's my cousin. They're going to give me money to hold on to make sure the cousin shows up on time. And when all the work is done properly, they get paid. So this is a money held in a bond held in trust for engagers. If you look at the numbers bond held in trust, and then you look at the very bottom deferred leasehold inducement due to engagers, those numbers are the same for a reason. We don't hold on to this money. This money doesn't really make interest. It's whatever comes in goes back out. And that money is being held for you, so you get paid when you deserve to get paid. It's not an investment or a profit. It's more like a security deposit that sits in a trust account. I think you get what I'm saying, but because it's legally held, it does earn a little bit of interest while it's there. We need to count this as an asset when we look at our books. The bonds increased this year up to 5.08 million, up from 4 million, which means more production activity and a healthy volume of engagement with performers. We actually want to see that go up. Let's move on to investments. You want to now invest in your friend's lemonade stand instead of just lending them money. You become a part owner. If it does well, you earn more either through profits or maybe you sell your shares for higher value. Our investments grew slightly to 9.32 million this year from 9.15, which we feel is steady and healthy. So let's summarize this page. Accounts receivable, I gave you some lemonade, you owe me that money. Bond, I return all the money back when everything is checked off. Investment, I bought a piece of your lemonade stand, hope it grows so I can receive monthly interest payments. Now all of that again in French. Pour le premier, no, I'm just kidding. All of these are assets, and this year they helped grow our asset base to 18.2 million, up from 17.7 million. If you have questions, if you have thoughts on this, put them in the chat. We have people looking at it, but I want to move on now from our assets to our liabilities. This is basically what we owe, people. Accounts payable, amounts due to ACTRA Fraternal Benefit Society, and ACTRA National. These rose slightly and pushed our current liabilities up. Nothing alarming, but we're always watching. When it comes to funds, you can see here not much has changed. Action Defense Fund, Emergency Operating Expense Fund, they stayed steady, along with the Computer Systems Development Fund. The council surplus also stayed flat. The deficit got a little bit bigger thanks to shuffling money between funds and covering various expenses. Our cash balance dipped down from 397, 697, and it was at 566, 367. But this was offset by gains in those bonds and investments that we talked about earlier. We took money from the piggy bank and we put it in something that earns interest, which we feel is a long-term smart move. It does impact liquidity. And whenever you hear liquidity, that's just cash that you can get your hands on. Your mortgage isn't liquid. I can't touch it, but the cash in your bank, I can get that out pretty quickly, go to an ATM, and we need to have liquidity. All businesses need this as we go on. So let's move on to the second page. I can sense everyone's excitement already from across the internet. Thank you. In the year ending February 28th, 2025, that's the end of our fiscal year, our revenue increased from the previous year by 1.2 million. This was mainly from working dues and a surge in performer permits for both residents and non-residents. Notable productions like Twisted Metal, Gen V, and The Boys contributed to this growth. Basically just shows Paul watches. Expenses also rose in personnel costs, legal fees, union democracy, and advocacy due to the IPA negotiation. The IPA took up, we had a group that went all year last year. I was part of that group. So in my mind, that logically makes sense. It was a big thing. We don't do the IPA though for another 2 years, so that will bring those costs down. Despite higher expenses, we managed to save in areas such as audit fees, rent, and the Haven reporting line. We're reporting a deficit of approximately 1 million. And I should say the numbers you are seeing here, I should have said this off the top. These are draft numbers. These are not final numbers. The final numbers should be posted within 1 to 2 months. In this world, we're still making sure all the I's and T's are dotted, or whatever you dot when it comes to numbers, to make sure that we're giving you the correct amounts. Anyways, thanks to a significant 1.2 million increase in revenue, largely from those working dues and performer permits, that is why we have gone up. But no one's jumping for joy about a $1 million deficit, but we're making progress. We are going to focus on maintaining this momentum, watch our cash flow, and make smart, forward-thinking decisions to support our members and our mission. So our financial position remains steady, with total assets increasing to 18.2 million. This was growth in investments and bonds. So here's where I'll give you the exciting summary. Cash and accounts receivable declined, which means we're being more strategic about how surplus funds are allocated. What are we going to do with that money that's in our that we can touch, the liquidity stuff? We're going to put it into long-term earning assets rather than letting it sit idle. Think about, don't keep money under your bed because it doesn't earn you money. Liabilities rose from higher accounts payable and amounts due to partner organizations, but these were within expected levels, and we're closely monitoring them. Our internal funds remain stable, which provides a strong foundation for future needs. I would say we are on the right path, but we do need to keep an eye on cash flow, remain proactive in managing costs, smart changes as needed. I want to thank our amazing staff, especially Tina Wang, who and August is off on vacation, but Tina Wang is here right now listening in, helping out with questions that come in. They prepare these financial statements. It takes a lot of work and time. And as they say, running the numbers for ACTRA Toronto is like running a lemonade stand with 15,000 business partners, 14 types of lemons, and everyone paying in IOUs. I'll take a moment for the laughter to subside. Now, it may look simple on the surface, but behind the scenes, this is a masterclass in organized chaos, and we need to squeeze those lemons a lot. I'm going to start with a lemonade. I've confused myself. I will turn it to, I'm going to look at the chat, but I'll turn it to Alistair. Is there anything that
we had a couple of questions come in. One of the first ones is, what is the plan or thoughts on getting a balanced annual budget?
Well, that's a very good question. There are a lot of thoughts to getting a balanced annual budget. I don't have an answer for you that will. We're still ending up with this $1 million, deficit, right? And I get it. You want to get to a balanced budget. I would say the lockout in and of itself is a big reason behind this unbalanced budget. I would say that last year productions dropped 25 to 35% across North America. We're not seeing the money come in as much as we were in years past. And we do have larger expenses happening right now. The blunt answer is we have to if we have to look at a way to save costs, the saving of those costs will make people upset. It will make people who work for ACTRA, by upset, I mean, like it's a harsh reality. So I don't have a clear answer for you, but it's definitely something we're keeping an eye on, because we do see this continuing trend of not having money saved by the end of the year. And that is something that concerns us all. I hope that answers your question.
So then the next question, Paul, kind of builds on that and says an operating deficit of $1 million suggests that an increase in dues is likely warranted. Do we have an estimate of how the proposed dues increase would have decreased that operational deficit?
You know what, Alistair, I'm trying to remember.
I can help you with that if you'd like.
I want to guess that it was around about 450,000 if things went through, but you probably have that number a bit.
No, you are right. It's between $450,000 and $500,000 would have been the increase to the branch in that first year, which, based on the current deficit that we have, would have cut it in half. So yes, I would suggest that we do need to look at increase in our revenue lines. And as Paul pointed out, the revenue lines are limited, right? We have a very limited scope. We don't qualify for a lot of operational grants. We don't qualify for a lot of government funding. So really what we are looking at is how do we increase work opportunities for members? And beyond that, then it is, as Paul said, it is about what costs do we need to cut.
And I'll say one more thing, Alistair, just regarding that one. If we do look at a dues referendum, your basic dues are the things that we can track, because that number stays the same for all members across the board, right? So we can actually just go, we have blanket members, let's multiply it by whatever number it gets to. We know we're bringing that in. Then we guesstimate at, we talked about a working dues increase, which I think was a lot of pushback against that. It's currently at 4,000. There's talk of perhaps raising that as well. If that does happen, we can also still estimate based on previous work years, averaging it out. We can see what kind of money is coming in, but that's why we can get to this estimate of $500,000, but as you can do the math, you cannot balance a budget still $500,000 short. Anything else, Alistair? Do you think we
Yeah,
should?
so we'll do one more. And this one is not an easy one to answer, and I'm happy to help. But if production is decreasing, why are we not decreasing operations size?
I guess you mean by like, why are we not
Well,
getting rid of staff? Is that
well,
yeah.
that is essentially the question that is being asked. And if I can help with that, it's because we are not decreasing the size of our membership, and the membership still requires service. And I think what we do know is that there is a certain level of service that is expected out of this union, and which we want to be able to provide. So I would humbly suggest that if we do need to look at an operational shift, then we need to have a bigger holistic conversation with membership regarding service levels and what service levels they would be willing to see decrease overall. But we have a few more, Paul, that we can come back to.
Okay, great. I'll just say that to you quickly too. I mean, if you feel like you're struggling with your ACTRA staff now, and I mean, we definitely get that feedback, and I shout out to the staff. Imagine that staff getting smaller. That's less people that can focus on the issues that are coming in. So while it seems like an easy fix, it could be a greater problem down the road when we don't have as many people in the kitchen trying to get it all done. Anyways, thanks for your time. I'll try and get to those questions later. I'll move it back to you, Alistair.
At this point, we are now going to throw to George Elevizos. And George, it's over to you.
Hey, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is George. My pronouns are he, him. And I'm just going to talk about some of the things around DEIA that I've been a part of with my speech. So here we go. So as a liaison for ACTRA TO, and the co-chair and creator of the Disability Alliance Subcommittee, I wanted to personally thank all the members who have stepped up and into leadership roles on all of our committees. I had a few things I wanted to bring up regarding DEI initiatives within ACTRA Toronto. I had the pleasure this year of being a part of a couple of things to help push DEIA initiatives in our industry, especially around the topic of accessibility. In the scary times we are living in, especially right now with everything going on around the world, with the rollback around DEI practices across multiple areas around the world, I wanted to fight for accessibility in our most recent round of IP negotiations, which I am proud to say we got some things this round and wanted to fight for better coverage, which we got within AFBS. Between AFBS and the IP negotiations, I was really happy to say that with AFBS, we got some increases in mobility devices, which went from $1,000 a lifetime to $1,500 every 5 years, inclusive of motorized mobility scooters of $400 lifetime benefit, new gender affirming care benefit for some members that are going through transitioning and whatnot, and other really great things that I feel like will be great for our membership going forward. Especially being the creator and co-chair of the Disability Alliance, I am excited that we got some huge wins this year in the area of accessibility, and I'm really excited to see what further partnerships we can holster within our relationship with the Disability Screen Office and other groups that will help strengthen and elevate a group of voices that continually are being silenced within our industry and can affect anyone in our membership at any point in their life. I wanted to thank you on behalf of ACTRA Toronto for all that you do to keep spaces for our members to engage thriving. In committee, we invite members to share their experience and perspective, which helps to inform the staff and determine what member-led direction we want to go. Because I really feel like all members should get involved. If there's a committee, there's so many committees in ACTRA Toronto that you can be a part of. And if there are any that you feel like you really would benefit from, I really recommend you go on to www.actratoronto.com/committees to see what kind of committees there are, which ones you can get involved in, and what are some of the activities and initiatives they do all throughout the year. So that's basically it for my little report. I'm just really happy that there was some really great wins that we got within some of the DEI initiatives, and I really want to continue to fight larger and harder for our members going forward. So thank you.
Thanks, George. At this point, we will now go to Mercedes Morris.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, my name is Mercedes Morris, and I'm so proud to be speaking with you today, especially as the sole BIPOC VP at ACTRA Toronto. Hashtag representation matters. It is a real honor to stand with you, not just as performers, but as storytellers, leaders, and advocates shaping this industry together. I think that's why I'm so deeply committed to member engagement, because when we do things together, we can really go the distance. Throughout my term, I've made it my mission to show up for our union, for each and every one of you. Whether I'm emceeing at the Labor Day Parade, which we actually won the Most Spirited Award for, congratulations, or marching with ACTRA at the Pride Parade, volunteering at Picture Day with the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, or connecting at our town halls. I know you see the fro, I know you've seen me at our town halls or our new member meetings, at the Sandy Ross Awards, and more. I have been out there, not for the optics or for the photos, although I never shy away from a good photo or a cute outfit, but because I really do care about this union and our engagement. Beyond ACTRA's walls, I've been proudly representing us at industry events and initiatives like, conferences like the Toronto Black Film Festival, TIFF, Real World, Prime Time, the Black Screen Office Symposium, and even Queen's Park, where a number of your executives watched a cultural policy debate in support of artists and artists' rights and funding. Get your money, honey, you know? So I will also be moderating a ACTRA panel at the upcoming XP Summit, continuing our union's work to elevate Canadian talent and spotlight ACTRA within these very important industry spaces. Even on my own initiative, I've attended the TIFF Next Wave Film Festival and connected with emerging performers and non-union talent, reminding them and encouraging them to come and join ACTRA because this is what they deserve. Protection, rights, healthcare, you know? Now, onto one of my passions, social media and digital engagement. A big part of my VP and chair work has been centered on elevating that, using our analytics and trends to make sure that our voice online really reflects our strength and the spirit of our membership. Does change happen overnight? No, it does not. But I am not giving up. We are not giving up because I'm doing the work that I love and what I really believe in. I would say a standout moment would have to be suggesting some of our AI generated reels from our executive director, Alistair Hepburn, which sparked important conversations around the growing threat of AI on our industry. They've become some of our most watched reels to date. So these online wins, they matter. They show that we can be creative, strategic, and powerful in how we advocate for ourselves. Because let's be real, folks, AI is no joke, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon. So we need to be louder than ever to protect our work and our worth. So please engage with us online. Your executives have made it a priority to meet challenges like AI and the lockout head on. Our mission is to engage, educate, and empower us all. Along with social media, another one of my passions is engaging with the youth in our union. Oh yeah, I'm talking about the Yeah Committee. We've been using those 3 E's by engaging online and in person. We've more than doubled our follower count, and we've had opportunities to connect at fun beach days and picnic days. We've been educating with a video game performance showcase featuring feedback from industry experts. And most importantly, most recently, we've been empowering with a movie day and Q&A spotlighting ACTRA Award nominated talent. Our second movie day is actually coming up on June 5th, a week from now. So as the young folks say, pull up, okay? It's gonna be a great time. One of my and the committee's proudest moments would have to be organizing a holiday give back celebration for the families of our union's minor members. It was warm, like the hot chocolate we served, and it was joyful and it was meaningful, and it helped re-spark something even bigger, our brand new Minors Committee. We have Angelica Alejandro, a well-known minors advocate, chairing this committee, and VP Alana Dunkelman and I will be supporting as executive liaisons. Alana will be sharing more about the committee with you all very shortly. Committees really do add so much value to our union, and they are shaped and strengthened by you. So as George said, please go to that website, check out all of our committees, and join one if you haven't already. Join more than one, the more the merrier. But together, let's keep engaging through stronger digital presence, in-person events, and open dialogue. Let's keep educating by sharing resources, spotlighting Canadian talent, and knowing our rights. Yes, go and review your IPA, please. And let's keep empowering ourselves and one another on set, in meetings, and across the industry, because this is how we grow our influence with policymakers, protect our craft, and build a star system that celebrates Canadian talent the way that it should. Thank you for trusting all of us to serve. Do not hesitate to reach out. As Kate mentioned, all of our emails are online, our inboxes are always open, okay? And I'm proud. I'm going to leave you with that. I'm proud of what we've built together, and I am excited for what is to come with all of us, okay, in solidarity. Thank you so much. And I will now be turning the mic over to our newest VP, Alana Dunkelman.
I don't know how to follow that. Thank you, Mercedes. My name is Alana. And as she mentioned, I am the newest VP on exec, and I'm extremely excited to be bringing a focus on 3 initiatives that I'm super pumped about. So as Mercedes mentioned, ACTA Toronto has launched a new committee for minors and their parents and guardians. The first meeting will be on June 5th, which I believe is the same day as the screening, so Mercedes is going to be very busy. An agenda highlight will be a presentation from Minors Trust. We want both minor members and their parents or guardians to have a place where they can ask questions and get clear, direct answers from staff, and where they can meet each other and build community. This will also provide an opportunity to build events and resources specifically tailored to this age group, like the Christmas party, which was so much fun, and the hot chocolate was great. Lots of work has been done through ACTRA for child performer advocacy, specifically surrounding labor laws and the creation of the essential child advocate role, which is the position that Angelica Alejandro currently holds. But creating this committee is the vital next step in making our union more inclusive, more responsive to members' needs, and helping to build the next generation of informed and empowered union members. Next, new member meetings. Joining a union is exciting, but it can absolutely be overwhelming. Last year, ACTRA Toronto piloted a new member meeting, and the response was very, very positive. New members want a welcoming space where they can connect, ask questions, and start feeling like they're part of the union community. So we're working to make our new member meeting a regular quarterly event held at the ACTRA Toronto offices. And I'm going to paint a picture for you because I think it's a fun format. You walk into the boardroom, and there's going to be tables dedicated to different topics, either on union education or ways that you can get involved, or work categories. So this session will be on June 12th from 2 to 4 p.m. And we've invited members who specialize in animation, video games, and audiobooks to attend. There will also be tables for general ACTRA questions, audition tips and tricks, creating your own work, and a dedicated station for the apprentice caucus. So our goal is to demystify, we have tons of work categories in our union. We want to demystify it and allow members to feel confident exploring all the possibilities that ACTRA offers. And we want new members to meet staff and chat with seasoned performers and each other, creating a network that supports them throughout their careers. Finally, let's talk about building work opportunities and the power of members coming together to organize. Last summer, a group of performers and I wanted to find a way to bring in more indie video game work for ACTRA performers. Of course, I got a phone call right now. Ontario is a hub for game development. The City of Toronto and the province of Ontario are heavily investing in this sector, and we want to make sure ACTRA performers are part of the conversation when they use performance in their games. Over several months, our working group met regularly. We analyzed the industry. We were looking specifically at what ACTRA Toronto currently offers versus the agreements and outreach materials like websites from our peers at UBCP ACTRA and SAG AFTRA. Currently, SAG is striking on this agreement and they are fighting really hard for AI protection. So if you do see any posts, please share those. We've been attending major industry events to have conversations with video game developers about ACTRA. And please do not fret, these are mostly free events, do not worry. The goal is visibility, and it's working. We've had conversations with game creators who had never heard of ACTRA, and now they're super excited to work with union performers. So with the industry analysis and the feedback from developers, we made presentations in September and in December of last year to ACTRA Toronto Council and staff with our findings and some suggestions, and the response was incredibly encouraging. Our main suggestion was to create a new public-facing, multi-tiered video game agreement, that's a mouthful, designed specifically for indie productions. So the agreement is currently being built by staff in collaboration with members, and it is proposed for budgets of up to $2 million. The point is to make things easier and more transparent for developers, so they'll be able to click on the ACTRA Toronto website and budget accordingly with just a glance. Again, it's still in development, but it will go through several work category focus groups with members who work in the sector to ensure performers feel good about working under it. So whether it's, in conclusion, whether it's organizing new work opportunities, protecting our most vulnerable members, or building spaces where performers can find each other and feel at home, I believe in a union that meets its members where they are and grows with them. Everything we're doing is rooted in the belief that ACTRA doesn't represent performers, it belongs to performers. And the more we show up for each other, the stronger we become. Thank you. So now let me introduce VP and our executive MVP of the 2025 ACTRA Toronto Awards, Amy Matizio.
Thanks, Alana. Hi, everyone. So listen, I have my hand in a lot of honey pots as an executive. I have a lot of files that I take care of and that I collaborate with others on. But this year, it seemed that I really took a deep dive into the awards pool. And I'm very happy that it went this way. I don't think we're going to do an awards report like this every year, and I definitely have been at many AGMs, and it's not something we typically do. But I think it's important that we do because this year we took a big turn. We went back to basics, as I sort of said, which seems like not so basic, but a sparkly nighttime affair in a stunning soft seat theater with all the production bells and whistles that we could afford. A team that worked relentlessly, and a list of winners, nominees, presenters, and a special award recipient ×2 for the books. We consider this year's ACTRA Awards in Toronto, proudly sponsored by AFBS, a tremendous success. With 500 guests in attendance, including members, industry leaders and allies, sponsors, politicians, and special guests. This event was held at Kerner Hall, for those of you who were not able to make it. marking a bold and symbolic move to a more iconic venue that reflects both the scale and significance of this annual celebration. It was a night filled with joy, solidarity, and pride, recognizing the artistry, resilience, and unity of Ontario's screen performers. This year, we worked with Yellow House Events, who not only came on as a sponsor to provide production management, but also became our most valuable scene partner in building these awards. ACTRA member Riva Lombardi, who is also at Yellow House, was our producer and main point of vendor contact and was simply incredible. We were very proud to introduce 3 new award categories this year. The Non-Binary Gender Nonconforming Performers On Camera Award marked a landmark step toward inclusion and equity, celebrating performers who transcend the binary and push boundaries in representation. I want to personally thank Madeline Rose and Asher Rose for their powerful introduction of this award, and for ACTRA TO for shepherding this new recognition into the ACTRA Toronto community. The new Commercial On-Camera Award finally shines a light on the craft and creativity involved in commercial performance, be it 30 seconds or more, an area of our industry that has long been overdue for recognition, especially as we continue at ACTRA Toronto to work with dedicated agencies who continue to choose union first during this lockout. It was so meaningful to see those performers on screen that night. And this, I mean, I think it's like one of those things where we had many conversations about bringing this award to the awards. And in the end, I just am so moved by how it landed on the room. I think all of our new awards really amplified what is so unique about us. And I'm so glad that we moved forward. And of course, the Youth Voice Award, honoring our youngest members for their exceptional skill and creativity in voice work. We also continued our tradition of honoring long-standing excellence within our community. The ACTRA Toronto Award of Excellence was presented to Deb McGrath, while the Stunt Award went to Cotton Mather. We welcomed 3 new life members, Jean Yoon, Eric Peterson, and Lisa Levinson, whose contributions and legacy were celebrated with heartfelt tributes. All of these awards not only recognize outstanding careers, but also honor the deep commitment each of these performers have shown to the industry, the union, and their fellow members. If you weren't there, I want to share that the atmosphere throughout the evening was electric. There were standing ovations, emotional speeches, and a palpable sense of collective resilience. After the challenges of the last few years, this gathering felt like a long overdue moment of reconnection and visibility for our community. Let's talk about the money. On the financial side, the event was bolstered by nearly 50% new sponsors this year. We raised close to $150,000 in support financially, cash, with an additional $20,000 provided in kind through vendor donations, community partnerships, and discounts. These contributions were essential to producing this event and served as a strong demonstration of support for our performers. It is always the goal not to tip into the ACTRA Toronto budget for the awards, but to go as far as we can through sponsorship. I said this that night. I know people are waiting for me to say it, but what do your dues do? I said do. We do not spend $150,000 on the awards, and certainly not on my watch. It was, I mean, I was literally in there in the budget every single day, moving things around, working with Paul, working with Alistair, working with August Liu, our Director of Finance, to make sure that we were going to be able to achieve what we wanted to achieve and also continue to bring sponsors in. The awards team is also able to access staff time and support, but we really do want to limit those asks and the stress. As the executive liaison to the awards committee, I worked between the committee and Yellow House and the ACTRA Staff and Council. I kept my eyes on the money every day, and we are extremely grateful to August Liu, our Director of Finance and Sponsorship Lead, for all of her efforts. I am proud to share we already have many returning sponsors. For those members who paid $60 to attend, thank you. You too supported building this night, because the reality is the actual ticket price to attend an event like this is well over $200. We do the work to make sure the ticket remains accessible and in line with industry comparables. But the awards do more for members than just roll out the red carpet. Ultimately, the ACTRA awards need to be an act of union advocacy. They serve to uplift and spotlight the good work being done by our members and to amplify the faces, voices, and names that make our industry strong. We also want to highlight the contributions of our member talent behind the scenes and on stage. Al McFoster, our most excellent pre and post show DJ. Nika Atto, our returning voiceover announcer, this year live on stage without missing a beat, proving once again it pays to go Union VO. And of course, Angelica Liz Can, our incredible MC whose presence as host elevated the evening in every way. The first stunt performer to ever MC the ACTRA Awards became a very meaningful milestone. A huge thank you to Angelica and Dan Levine, along with the Collective Action Group, for producing the outstanding opening video that set the tone perfectly. And for those who missed it, I believe the video will be made available online very soon. The show itself was written by WGC member Diana Francis with additional contributions from our internal team. This year's event was made possible by the tireless efforts of many people. Planning and production for the event began nearly a year in advance with a concentrated 5-month execution period. On the day of the event, I think it's important for you to know, 22 member volunteers, 8 ACTRA staff, 5 vendors and their teams, and the entire Kerner Hall team worked in seamless coordination. Post-event surveys from members and sponsors have been overwhelmingly positive. We will continue to hold internal debriefs and apply the feedback and lessons learned as we continue to grow the awards. I personally want to thank the awards committee, our co-chairs, Vanya and Michelle, my co-pilot, ACTRA Toronto Councillor Dina Pino, our co-exec liaison Paul, our juries and jury coordinators, our ACTRA Toronto staff, and all of the sponsors who sponsored this event. This event from beginning to end was not just a celebration. It was a reflection of our union's values and an expression of who we are and what we stand for. It is really about the labor that makes storytelling possible. Thank you. I'd now like to throw it to John Cleland, the co-chair of the AI committee, not to be a downer, but to just shed a little AI light for us.
Yeah, okay. Thank you everybody for coming today. I will be your Debbie Downer for today as I'm going to talk about AI. So our industry continues to be rocked and disrupted. Artists are facing a triple threat from corporate greed, a lack of respect for creative labor, and the imminent threat from AI. To face these threats, we need to organize and engage with our membership like never before. ACTRA's strength lies in our numbers, our alliances with other unions, and our collective voice rattling the halls of power, and our creativity. Today, I want to emphasize the importance of building our power to fight the existential threat of generative AI. So some of you may have seen the horrifying AI-prompted ads making the rounds, the Porsche ad, which cynically celebrated the importance of casting and human involvement, all in an AI-generated ad. The AI-generated person on the street interviews, and of course, Alistair's alarming conversation with Maya. Every day, more of these are generated, and most of these are cobbled together, I refuse to call it creation, by one person putting in AI prompts. An AI agent then scours the internet to amalgamate digital data and spit out a replica of human behavior based on that data, our individual unprotected data. The rapidly evolving quality of the output of the latest AI tools from ChatGPT 4.0, Maya, Alistair's girlfriend, and Sora, to name a few, indicates that AI is living up to its promise of exponential growth and advancement. Now, against the odds, we have made some gains regarding AI in our recent IPA agreement that match what SAG-AFTRA achieved in the strike of 2023. And just recently, we managed to get language in the latest NCA agreement with the ACA to have regular meetings to discuss and implement AI protections going forward. But producers are reticent to grant us the rights and protections we deserve for our creative contributions. And it's irrefutably true that without legislation to back up our agreements, well, our agreements are really just a handshake, which makes legislating strong regulations and protections against deepfakes and the misuse of our voice, image, name, and likeness long overdue. So let's look globally. While the EU is moving faster than most, the US is going backwards. by trying to put a 10-year pause on any AI regulation. Canada is floundering somewhere between progress and capitulation. There's something called the ADA, the Artificial Intelligence and Data Act, that has been stuck in committees since 2022. I'm going to quote a little bit from the ADA Act. The aim of it is to encourage the responsible adoption of AI technologies through an open and transparent regulatory development process. Consultations would be organized to gather input from a variety of stakeholders across Canada to ensure that the regulations achieve outcomes aligned with Canadian values. So now more than ever, we need to be one of those stakeholders banging on the table. And although Prime Minister Carney has signaled that he recognizes the importance of dealing with AI by appointing Evan Solomon as Minister of Artificial Intelligence, we have to get loud fast to ensure that Evan's focus is on transparency, regulation, and respect for human, individual, and intellectual property, as well as their much heralded goal of supercharging the economy. Which is why it is so urgent for ACTRA members to get political, to ensure that the pursuit of profits does not trump human art creation and the rights of the human artists who drive the multi-billion-dollar arts industry. So at the AI subcommittee, we've been working quite hard on developing a strategy. We've identified a few pressure points to focus on in order to be convincing when lobbying for protections on voice, image, name, and likeness, with control, consent, and compensation at their core. 3 of them are privacy and security, economic impact of labor replacement by AI, because AI doesn't pay taxes, and the environmental impact of AI. And some of our plans for organizing an engagement around AI in 2025 are this. So the AI subcommittee is ramping into crisis management mode. We've motioned for the creation of a national AI task force, which will take on issues around AI using a 3-pronged attack. Number 1, communication, so education and outreach to members and stakeholders around how AI is being implemented by producers and the lack of regulation and legislation to back up any protections we achieve in our agreements. Knowledge is power, and we all have to do our part in staying on top of this threat. The second prong is rallying. This will be an organizing arm of the task force to facilitate actions to increase public awareness and to build alliances with other stakeholders. And then finally, the third one is political action, putting public and private and public pressure on MPs and MPPs to inspire them to act with urgency to legislate protections around privacy and copyright. We'll also be providing informational sessions and resources on AI. Please check out the AI resources page on ACTRA Toronto's website. And as Kate said, especially look over the AI best practices guide. It is incredibly well done, and our staff, led by Kale and Alistair, have become experts on AI. But we all need to do our part as well. So please send me an email to join the Toronto AI subcommittee and get involved with the National Task Force. It's there for you to get involved with. Bring your friends, spread the word that ACTRA is organizing around AI. By organizing and engaging with our 30,000 members across Canada, we can call attention to the perils AI presents to our industry and our livelihoods, and together we will adapt to these changes and ensure that we protect ourselves and future-proof our careers. Now, I don't know who I'm handing this off to, but Kate?
Me. It's
Alistair.
me.
Alistair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, to you.
I even wrote you a transition script.
I know, but I had to close it so I could see my damn speech.
And it was a good one too. Thanks, John. And hello, everyone. Look, Maya is not my girlfriend. Let's be clear. She flirts a lot, though. But I've seen the movie Her. It does not end well, so we're good. Again, I'm Alistair, and I'm proud to be here not just as the executive director of ACTRA Toronto, but as someone who draws strength from the people in this virtual room, from your stories, your convictions, your creativity, and truly your resilience. Because make no mistake, if there's a single word that defines the 12 months from June 2024 through to May 2025, it's that one, resilience. This was not a year of ease. It was a year of pressure, external and internal, economic, structural, and emotional. And yet ACTRA Toronto members didn't just withstand that pressure. You turned it into purpose. From the continued illegal lockout under the NCA to the slow recovery of scripted production after the US strikes, from the ripple effects of AI that you heard about from John to the revenue volatility because of proposed tariffs or those in our own books, this was a year that asked hard questions. And our answer was clear. We are still here, still fighting, still building forward. So let's look at what resilience actually looks like in action. Over 1,000 productions were supported in our jurisdiction over the past year: animation, episodics, features, web series, audiobooks, podcasts, video games, the full spectrum of modern storytelling powered by ACTRA talent. In the first 5 months of 2025 alone, those productions delivered $57 million in earnings to the members. That includes over $41 million from series work, a clear sign that our sector is regaining its footing. Commercials, still under siege. But our NCA enforcement team never slowed down. In 2024, they recovered over $1 million in late, missing, and incorrect payments. This year, they've already added another $218,000 to that total. That's resilience in real dollars. Our membership grew. Over 1,100 new members joined ACTRA Toronto in this past year. That's not just a statistic. That's a new wave of voices, faces, languages, and lived experiences enriching this union. The work is shifting, and the next generation is already stepping up. Education has remained a cornerstone. A record-setting 600 members completed Respect on Set in 2024, and we continue to offer our most requested sessions like unconscious bias and set etiquette into 2025. Every one of those sessions reinforces a safer, more respectful industry, the kind of change that outlasts any one production cycle. The Permit Access Fund has scaled nationally, but its roots are here in Toronto. The fund has not only opened doors, but has launched careers. Nearly 1 in 4 of the recipients joined ACTRA. One of them is now leading a series filming in Tokyo. From local to global, that's the power of organized opportunity. We've also expanded our work on accessibility, equity, inclusion, and belonging. We partnered with Real Asian, Inside Out, and TIFF to amplify underrepresented performers. We have co-hosted a trans headshot clinic with Spindle Films. We brought OBAC to the table and helped them engage union talent for new development programs. This isn't side work. This is the core of who we are, because a resilient union reflects the full spectrum of the community it serves. And let's talk about the engine underneath it all, the operations. As Paul noted, we ended 2024 with a deficit of just under $1 million, significantly better than our $1.3 million forecast. That's thanks to vendor renegotiations, digital modernization, tighter workflows, and a finance team committed to transparency and accountability. We welcome back Controller Tina Wang, and the benefits of that continuity are already clear. From Excel-based automations to cross-departmental checklists, we didn't just survive the crunch, we used it as a moment to get sharper, leaner, more agile. That's operational resilience. Look, and we showed up. Over the last year, ACTRA Toronto participated in more than a dozen career fairs, festivals, and industry summits, reaching over 6,500 registrants face-to-face. We didn't wait for people to come to us. We met them where they were. And in doing so, we reminded them, the future of this industry is union. We also led. As Kate talked about, when Compass Artist Management collapsed under scrutiny, we didn't stay quiet. We lobbied the province, mobilized partners, and helped push forward Ontario's long overdue talent agent consultation. That's what resilience looks like, not just weathering the storm, but pushing policy through it. So where do we go from here? We keep going, we keep building, we keep resisting the urge to settle for less, for our members, for our sector, for our future. We'll continue pushing for a just end to the lockout. We'll continue organizing around AI, demanding consent, compensation, and control. We'll continue investing in people, programs, and partnerships that make this union stronger from the inside out. Because resilience doesn't mean gritting your teeth and enduring. It means adapting, evolving, and emerging clearer in purpose. It means knowing who we are and fighting for what we know is right. So to the members, thank you. To the staff, thank you. To the industry partners, community allies, and council leaders, thank you. We didn't just make it through, we moved forward. And that is resilience. So I think now at this point, Kate, we should probably get some of the questions that have been building up. I'll turn it over to you to lead us through the Q&A.
Okay, thanks, Alistair, and thanks everybody. Okay, so the Q&A works like this, like your questions are coming in, and I think there's a few questions that are not about the referendum, but a lot are. And so I want to start, I'm just going to start. We got to talk about this. So since the message, I think the email from National came in around 5 o'clock last night. I've gotten a lot of text messages. I'm sure that probably most people on this call have. Other counselors or people that I know, I talked to someone this morning, a former counselor who was like, I've been getting a lot of messages as well. So the big question in the chat is like, what is the referendum for? And it feels important to be clear that this petition was built by members across the country. The minimum number of members needed by the Constitution to file a petition is 100. The signees exceeded that, I think somewhere between 300 and 400 signees. They are asking for changes to the National Constitution on Articles 11 and 6. The changes to Article 11 have been deemed unconstitutional to this point. I'm just giving you my objective knowledge at this point. Okay, so I'm just going to focus on 6. The changes involve a request for increased financial transparency. The asks around that range from the releasing of unaudited statements through to more detailed accounting. Then is what currently in the Constitution bylaws around formal audits, which is what is, I think this is what you want. You do want audited statements, but there is a request for greater access to information, and this is the way that it was communicated. The message from National last night has been very clear that the National Council does not support the petitioner's request. The votes on this, they were not unanimous, but we are bound. This is a question that came to us. We are bound to speak with one voice by the bylaws. So I'm just going to focus on myself because there are differences of opinion even at our own table in Toronto. I don't have the authority to speak on behalf of all of the councillors. In my time studying labor and endeavoring toward truly democratic and transparent union. Sorry, I'm getting emotional here. This is difficult. And I know it's difficult for everyone because we just want to work and we want to do things, but we have to face these things head on. And I'm not going to run away from that. I have found that the best way to serve the membership is to allow members to speak for themselves and to one another about what is working, what is not working, what they want to see change. This goes for our union as it goes for any union, any collective organization. What would people like to see changed and implemented? And I think one of the questions in the chat was like whether or not ACTRA Toronto is in favor of this second petition, which is been deemed unconstitutional. And I would say, personally, I think I would have been in favor for most of these asks. One of them was for equal opportunity for the petitioners to present to the membership. Earlier, when I was speaking about the path and sticking the landing on things, I mean, this is part of what I'm talking about. I do think it goes both ways. You do need to be informed in order to make a decision. I have to be honest, ACTRA Toronto's perspective on this, on the petitions, the Constitution number 6, has been that this will be very, very difficult on our branch. From a labor perspective, there are other complications that I would prefer us to get into at the meeting next week, where we can hear from the petitioners as well. But at the end of the day, like, you're going to hear from ACTRA National tonight, and next week we're going to have the conversation, and we will endeavor to fulfill at least one of those conditions on the petition that was ruled unconstitutional, which is to allow members to speak to each other. Those of you who do not agree with this, those of you who agree, it is our duty, and it will be my honor to try and steward us through that. If there are other questions, I'm happy to answer them.
All right, let me
Thank
throw
you.
some questions to the group here, and because I know there's some great stuff in here that has that are definitely some passions of some of our executive members. So Alana, I'm actually going to start with you. Is there a plan to bring on more members to the union? This could be an efficient way to bring on more revenues and to fight the lockout. Many talented non-union actors would love to join if given the chance. I know you feel passionately about this, so I'm going to give you the floor.
I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for the Toronto board or for the national board. Through my own studies of learning about labor and about how other unions operate, I believe it's important to have a conversation and to fulsomely discuss this with the membership about moving from a craft union model to I believe the term is an industrial union model. There's power in numbers. There is power in working together to get what we want. I don't know what that path to membership looks like. I cannot say what is that something that is a path that is comfortable for everyone, but I think we have to have a conversation as a membership in terms of how we get more members in. We are in a different situation than in the 1990s. There is an active non-union talent pool that are amazing and are working. And I had a conversation with a union organizer from upstate New York last week, and we were talking about this, and he was saying, are you more powerful with those people in your union or more powerful with them outside your union? And I believe that us all coming together is a way to build our strength, to organize non-union work into ACTRA so that producers have no choice but to work with union members, and for us to protect performers across the country. Because when you speak to non-union actors, what they want is what we want. They want protections on set. They don't want to be working 14-hour days without overtime. They want AI protections. We should be protecting each other. This is obviously just from my opinion, and you might disagree, but I hope that we can create a forum over the next few months to have a conversation and to really talk about what it means to shift from the model that we currently have to something that's more equitable and more open. Thank you. I don't know if that helps answer that.
No, that
Someone
was
else
great.
might have an
I was
opinion
gonna
on
ask if
exact.
anyone else wanted to add anything to that. Amy?
Just briefly, great job, Alana. I mean, this is a very this is a big conversation, a big old fulsome big room conversation that has to happen over months and months and months. It needs strategy, it needs rubrics, it needs a big umbrella, it needs all the things. We're talking about protections, collective action, bargaining, insurance, buyouts, in perpetuity. We have to look at the whole picture of what's happening, how people even go to work today, be it as a union member or not, as a pre-member or non-union member. It's not enough to say the talent lives here. It's just not. Yes, we are all super talented, and then your mom tells you so. But the reality is we have to take care of each other in a realistic way, very pragmatically look at the situation, because we do want to bring people close. But as we know right now, what do we offer? We have to get really clear on what we offer. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to really needle the work, find out why people would be here and what we can offer. And then also how we can protect each other, how we can stand stronger and go further as a union so that we are irresistible to people, that they want to be in the union and not out. And that goes for how we speak to employers, how we speak to our partners in the business. It's a big picture conversation that I believe in 2025 into 2026, we must start having, we have to.
Yeah, thank you. John, I think I see you typing an answer to a question that I'm actually going to ask you live instead, because I think folks will want to hear from you on this. So it drags in a couple of things. It drags in commercials, it drags in AI. So given Google's VO3, which if anybody has seen it in action, once the record limit grows from 8 seconds to 30, what capacity do you think we have to ensure we get commercial work moving into the future? And then once it goes into an even longer format, With ever shrinking gross revenue and shrinking membership, should we be merging with SAG? And I'll throw that open to anybody, and becoming a North American union to salvage human performer leverage. So let's start with Google's VO3, John, and protections there.
Yeah, it's a really difficult question at this point to address because we do not have any legislated protections. So until we get that, um, there's not a whole lot we can do. The way that AI works is that the agent can go around anywhere on the internet, scour it for all the digital data that exists there, which includes all of our digital data that we've produced over the last however many years we've been actors. So it is a possibility that advertisers just say, well, we have this VO3 thing now, we'll just use it. My hope is that we can work fast enough and get enough of our voices together. I think it really does require that the entire union come and help fight this threat. So I'm going to give another plug for the AI subcommittee. Just please come and join it and look for the announcement of the National Task Force and get involved. We need all the creativity we can to find a way to, I think it's guerrilla warfare at this point. We have to get the attention of the MPs and MPPs. Evan Solomon, if anybody has a connection to him, we got to get his ear. Yeah, I don't know. Is that an awful answer to that?
No. Because I think, I think what you're trying to drive at here is this isn't just going to be a staff member talking to a minister. This is about grassroots work. This is about your local MPP, your MP. This is about you actually connecting with those people so that they understand that the one thing you have that they need, your vote, is very, very important, and that you intend to leverage that towards someone who is going to help protect you. One of the things we like to say, and John said this earlier, AI doesn't pay taxes. And that is going to have the government incredibly worried, because putting a whole bunch of people out of work actually is counterintuitive to the work that they're trying to do. Bringing up Evan Solomon in, who is, as some of you likely know, is a former journalist, is definitely going to bring a perspective to this that has some sort of arts and culture slant to it, which we're going to have to take advantage of. So again, this is about local work being done that then grows. Joining the AI subcommittee, wildly important, because that's where the engine of this really starts to rev. So then the other part of that question for the group, sorry, Mercedes, do you want to jump in there?
I want to just say something really quickly. While it's so important for us to organize within ourselves, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbor, because they all have votes as well, right? So keep spreading the word and get everyone engaged and educated so we can all be empowered on this journey together, because it's not just performers who are affected. Remind them of that. AI has the potential to really take over all of our jobs. So let everyone join in on the fight. Thank you.
No, that's a great point. Kate, can I throw the next part of that question to you for a first stab, which is the SAG? Talk about, a SAG merger. Is that something that should be discussed?
People talk about this, and SAG is such a behemoth. I think there's a couple of things that come to mind. Like Canada, we have a really unique setup here. I don't want to be a 51st state. I'm not sure that I would want to necessarily be a 51st state of SAG. However, I do agree with an international worker model. I do believe that the future for protecting our rights does involve a level of international inter-union solidarity. I wish and I would like to see ACTRA's relationship. I think mostly the ACTRA relationship to SAG is operated at a national level. Like I would really like to see that relationship grow. And there was a question in the chat that I feel like kind of talks about this a little bit. So actually, can I do this thing where I say answer live? What does that do? I try?
Nope, that's not what you want to do.
Oh.
Which question are you looking at?
Can you please give us an update on the NCA lockout? What actions did you take?
Yeah, so you can now talk about that right now.
Oh, okay. So someone asked that, and it's related to the SAG question for me, because ACTRA Toronto and SAG, or ACTRA National and SAG, have had conversations about the inter-union solidarity that we might need to defeat the lockout, and they have conversations all through both unions bargaining. You know, somebody goes down from Canada, somebody comes up from the US and sits at the table and helps to inform everything. But where the commercial lockout was considered, what we found is that those conversations weren't moving fast enough. And so we actually got a group of members from SAG, and just rank and filers got together with a group of ACTRA Toronto members, and we just started having conversations. And they were like, you know, they were really worried. Well, what's going to happen to our commercial jurisdiction if this is what's happening in Canada? And those conversations were pushing, let's just say pushing from this side. And then the staff conversations were pushing from this side. And that's where I think that you ended up seeing that statement come from SAG, the first real statement of solidarity publicly made about the lockout. But then when you look at the sort of political environment that this question's being asked in, it's hard to say. Like, I understand that every union is trying to protect its members' jobs. We want that. We want ACTRA Toronto to be defending our jurisdiction here in Ontario, and we want National to be doing that for us for a domestic market across the country. But when I read a statement that seems to be trying to capitulate to the 100% tariff talk, I really wonder, like, would it be a hospitable environment for us to merge with another union that is sort of saying, like, our jurisdiction, our literal physical geographical jurisdiction supersedes international jurisdictions. But of course, there are examples. IATSE works internationally between, like at North America wide. So I don't have the authority to like approve or deny anything to do with a merger with SAG. I have deep concerns, but I hear about it. We hear this question all the time. So we should at least be having a conversation, right?
Yeah.
Is that, Alistair, do you have anything else to share on that?
That is a good one.
And can I follow up on the rest of Paul's
Please. Yeah.
the question? So the question was like, what steps have been taken to try to end the lockout? Last year, you might have saw that Publicis came back. Actually, did I say that? That was in my speech. Did I even say that? Oh, I cut it by accident.
Say it out loud.
You
Didn't say it out loud. I was trying to be off the cuff, but I guess I cuffed too much. Okay. So in the last year, both BBDO and Publicis have both re-signed with ACTRA National onto the commercial agreement. You have seen, and I think Paul reported a bit about this, but you have seen a spike in revenue, commercial revenue to do with that. Alistair talked about it also in his remarks. And we don't really know what drove BBDO back, but our best guess is the first casting notices that start to come in. That part of it is that the clients help to drive the agency, who is our employer and is the engager, back to the union. So then if you take that BBDO example and then you look at what happened with Publicis, and you're like, okay, there's a theme here. And you can even go back as far as what happened with Cassette. So with Publicis, there was this big Krasinski ad that was airing last summer. And people got loud about it. The membership got loud. It got a lot of attention in the media. The public was having a real time of it. This was even like before the sort of elbows up 51st state stuff rhetoric was out there. People were like, why is this happening? And once they realized there was a lockout, they were like really worked up on our behalf. And ultimately, I think that the biggest client at that agency is Rogers threw their weight around and said, we don't want to deal with this. We got to go back to the union. And I hope and I know people started working within like a week. I remember getting those first couple calls from people who said, like, I booked a job out of that renewal with the agency. And it was like, yeah, a real moment of pride. And when Cassette came back, that was largely driven. Our staff at the national level worked really hard to draw attention, and the media did take this on as well, draw attention to the contract that Cassette has with the federal government. This is a long-standing, massive, massive file for Cassette. And so that information was out there, and it did seem to motivate. And I think my understanding and the word on the street is that the agencies are quite happy working with the union, certainly working with our performers. Actually, our first ever commercial award had a couple of the campaigns that came back through these renewals featured at the ACTRA Awards. So, okay, hope that wasn't too much and answered your question, Paul.
Amy.
No, just to add to that, I've heard from some casting that in voice, for example, we are up 20% in the last 2 months with union work, be it across between animation, video games, and commercial. So commercial, they believe, is up over 10. Now, as we are always sleuthing our way and happy to receive emails if anyone has tips or anything they want to share, we love to get those emails, be it who is this agency? I saw this, it doesn't make sense. Those questions are valid and we want to see them and read them because we are always building data sets on this. And whether it's quarterly, monthly, things can turn very quickly. And so for me right now, hearing that piece of information this morning, I'm like, how did it jump so much in a month? Like when there's no VO commercial work in 30 days and then there's a 10% increase, it's like something for us to explore. So I just wanted to offer that there too. That's a little bit of good news and I'd like to know why. Like I'm curious about it. So I think that'll be my task for the week.
That's great. Thank you. If I could ask each of the exec that are on screen to drop into the chat, make sure you select everyone, your email address. That would be super helpful for folks because you've each touched on something that I know others are going to want to follow up with you on. So let's give them an opportunity to do that. So if you can drop that in, that would be great. While we're on that, I just want to, we did have a question where a member talked about events like mocap audition workshops, the toy drive, new member meetings, picture day, awards, all show members the value of their dues. Can any of the exec willing to share ideas that they would like to bring this coming year to continue this trend? Mercedes, let's start there.
I'd love to touch on that. Yeah, actually has a few that we're currently working on. We're putting together some really strong proposals for. One in particular is a self-tape best practices workshop that we'd like to plan that would include casting directors and agents so that performers really have a sense, especially in the emerging space, they really have a sense of what they're doing and they can just put their best foot forward every time. We are also exploring something like a mental health workshop. You know, this is a tough industry. There's a lot of changes going on, and sometimes there's even rejection and whatnot that we can face. So things like meditation, breath work, and just developing a positive mindset are all very important to our mental health and the success that we have as artists. So that's something we'd like to explore as well. And I'll let Paul touch on this one, but I know, you know, as performers, we got to do our taxes. So I think we have some workshops in the works for our members as well on taxes for performers.
Paul, the door is open.
Yes, Alistair, I'm looking frantic. It was Sean his name. Can you give me his full name?
Chris, are you talking about Chris?
Chris. Oh yeah, see, I'm gone. I missed his name completely. Don't tell Chris. Chris gave an amazing 2-hour financial workshop, so amazing that I'm only thinking numbers and not names. If you are part of a committee, keep an eye on this. We are trying. A lot of committee chairs went to this meeting. We were blown away on how simple he makes money, how he has developed a system that really, really works for actors. Of course, we at ACTRA cannot endorse anyone, but I would say I would go into the gray area of follow through with your committee, try and get Chris to come and talk to you, and then take it from there, because he really has done a fantastic job in a way that, if I go back to when, you know, you first become an actor and you go to an accountant, they just go, we don't deal with actors. We don't know what we're doing. He has developed a system that I think can help all of us as artists in this world. That's it. Thanks. On to
Lana.
So I was writing out all of the ideas that have been percolating in my head for 2 years. I would love to do organizing workshops. Kate mentioned that the bargaining team is supported by contract action teams. So how do we do that? I think that's bringing in people who do that for a living. There's amazing organizers in Toronto that we can come and teach us how to support our bargaining team. And even if there was something that we wanted to organize around between bargaining cycles, I think that's important for members to know. I can't make this happen unless the committee wants it, but I think for the minors committee, I would love to organize a self-tape workshop for parents and guardians that obviously minors can attend. But there are parent ACTRA members who have performer children, but there are a lot of minor members who have non-actor parents. And I'm sure the last few years have been extremely like a huge learning curve. And I think something for them would be really useful. And then something that I've been really excited about through the video game working group is doing more outreach to indie developers and offering free workshops. And this would be something that I would, hopefully reach out to the actor community and see who would like to participate. This is kind of down the road, but offering ways for developers to learn to work with actors so that they're more excited to work with actor members and they're not again, demystify the process so that if they're kind of on the fence about does my game have performance or not, if they do know how to work with performers, maybe they would be more inclined to work with ACTRA. So those are some things that have been kind of percolating.
Amazing. Big list. Amy.
Yeah, big list. I just want to touch on the conference because I'm sure it's what a lot of people are thinking about. Fiscally, we cannot hold a conference right now. It's very expensive. And you are looking around approximately $400 per member to be able to put the conference on. And it is very different than the awards in which that is fully sponsored. If our conference was fully sponsored, it might be another conversation, which perhaps we can have. But we are talking about reimagining the conference, perhaps some mini conferences this year, not the full length, but separate the conference, perhaps bring it into some round tables, some half days, utilizing the office. A lot like the video game event that happened this year, which was so excellent and a great use of our space and actually offering so much value. So coming up through the committees and really empowering the co-chairs to take up space and bring these events to council and have us support it so that we can not only use our space, but find spaces near the union to bring members together in person.
Madam President, over to you.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Yeah, thanks for that, Amy. So one of the things that we did is we actually transferred a little bit more money into the committees so that they could initiate. Did you say that? Okay. Sorry. They so that they could initiate more events like some of the stuff that Mercedes and Alana have already touched on, and bring members together. And the other thing that I wanted to say about the conference is it doesn't mean that we couldn't that we can't work on a digital conference, but I think there is a dream and there is a vision of getting us back to an in-person event. And I know this is something that's really important to Vice President George Alvizos, and this isn't this is not the conversation isn't over. We need to probably have it, but as I said, we are working on this sort of like strategic vision to accompany the budget and an operation plan, and it feels like we had to heed the sort of knowledge that our budget showed us around some of these big items. I wanted to touch a little bit on one of the newest committees that we have, which is the ACTRA Toronto North Committee, and just say that we're looking to grow some engagement in the North. We have a great group of members up there that are really wanting to get more involved, and we have a proposal that some of the staff is working on to try to generate more creative opportunities. I will be making a trip to Sudbury and North Bay, hopefully by the end of June. Some of the other things, like every year, and I think Working the Scene in Rainbow is already on the docket this year. Working the Scene in Color will be coming up again this year. And I don't want to speak for the D&I committee, but as I continue to be one of their liaisons, and I know there's some really fun stuff coming through there that is very much member informed. Yeah, those are the things that come to mind for me. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. John.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention a couple of new committees. The Dialect Subcommittee, which is a subcommittee of the Voice Committee, is I think it's already come into being. So look for that one. And then we also have a plan to have an inter-union committee to strengthen our relationships with other unions, IATSE, NABET, DGC, WGC, and leverage our relationship with the OFL that we have been developing over the last year and a half. I also just wanted to put in a plug for AYA, which is Act Your Age, and the Green Committees need some chairs. So please reach out if you're interested. AYA represents our more seasoned members and does some great work. We have a promotion that is coming out hopefully soon for that. And the Green Committee really, I think we really need to get some energy in there. So anybody who is passionate about the environment, please reach out and get involved with that.
Thanks very much. George, I know you need to run, so we'll throw to you.
Yeah, very quickly. I also just wanted to say that some exciting news from the Disability Alliance. We have 2 new co-chairs that are joining us, Sean Togood and Toria Somerville. So I'm really excited to be working with them and to bring some more ideas towards that subcommittee to hopefully one day make it into a full committee with a budget. So I'm really happy about that. And unfortunately, I do have to go to a doctor's appointment, everyone. But I just wanted to say thank you, everyone, for joining. And I look forward to meeting and talking to more members throughout my term. So thank you.
Thanks very much, George. All right, Madam President, we throw back to you for the wrap up here, please.
I guess, what do I want to wrap up? I mean, there's a lot of information that comes at you in a webinar, and I hope that we will have a sort of baby operational plan to provide you. Council will get a chance to look at one this month, like in June, and we'll be able to provide you that with the membership, so you can really see it. There are lots of things in the works. I think Paul's wanting to host these sort of treasurer talks, because we are hearing the calls for greater transparency, and we have the team to do that part. So why not? And then I guess the next steps are next week is looking to have our own town hall to speak more directly about the referendum with the membership. And yeah, next steps, I don't know, come to a council meeting if you want, come and watch, get in touch with us, and we'll see you hopefully at work at some of these events. And yeah, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you all very much. Thank you to our exec for your time and all of your thoughts today. Thank you for the members who have attended and all of your great questions. Any that we weren't able to get to, we will try to do some follow-up with you individually. And please don't hesitate to reach out to the executive members you see on the screen here. They want to hear from you. You are the engine that drives this vehicle, and they definitely need to hear from you to keep going. Thank you all so much. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.